Welcome back to the Wizard Shop. It's alive, guys. Let's talk about this truck and what we're going to do to it. You guys already know about the Rolls Royce swap. But before we tear this thing apart, let's take a look at it. This is my 1962 Chevrolet C30 1-ton. If you guys haven't watched the previous video on this, I purchased this for only one reason, and that is to pull this motor out and put in a Rolls Royce L410 V8. If you guys watch JR Go, it sounds kind of funny. He actually just put an LS motor into a Rolls Royce and he had the Rolls Royce engine left over in the transmission. I told him I'll take it. This is where it's going in. It's going to be a tow rig. I actually have spent a little time on it, me and Junior Mint. It's been sitting since the 90s. We got it running and driving. I just went up and drove it up and down the road a little bit. It actually works. It's amazing. So let's open the hood, let's take a look at it, talk about it, and let's put it on the lift like we do any other car. Before we tear this thing apart, maybe you guys would like to see in its originality what these look like. So let's get started. This is the old 261 inline 6, and as you just heard, it runs like a top. It doesn't even run rough. It runs like smooth as glass. It's perfect. I'm going to be pulling this motor out if you guys are interested in it. We're going to be selling this engine, probably the transmission. It's a good running powertrain. I'm going to be converting it to power brakes because when I just went and drove it a minute ago, it does stop, but it's like I'm almost standing on it. And that's not going to fly with me. So basic heater core, heater box, doesn't even have power brakes, it doesn't have power steering. It has a belt to run the water pump and the alternator, and that's it. There's nothing fancy about this truck. It was meant for utility. I'll go ahead and close the hood now. We actually got the lights working, the turn signals working. The brakes we didn't have to mess with. We do have the wiper arms off. There was something wrong with them, so we're going to replace those. I'll eventually get a new windshield. Let's take a look down the side of this thing. If you guys haven't seen this vehicle in a video yet, I want to talk about the rest of the truck. As I said, it's a 1-ton. As you see, it says 30. It's a C30. And it has a factory step-side 9-foot bed, which is really rare. A couple of people commented that it's not rare, but I went to some of the forums of these old trucks, and they are rare. They are very rare. It's really interesting. It still has the wood in place and everything. But we've got the interior gutted. I'm going to open it up and show you guys. In the previous video, you saw that it had a hole in the gas tank. I've got a good used one ordered. We got the old one out, and I'm running it off of a lawnmower gas tank. I'm sitting on a bucket. Maybe some of you might think that's perfectly fine as it is, but I got the seat out. We're going to get it reupholstered and put back in. Really, it's cleaning up pretty nicely. We found a lot of old receipts from the co-op from the 80s, and 1990 was the latest one that we saw. We don't know if the guy passed away and the truck got parked and forgotten, or I don't really know the story on it, but we are definitely getting this thing back on the road, and it's going to have twice the power that it ever had in its life. So let's take one look around it, and then we'll put it on the lift. One thing I'm waiting on before we tear into this thing is a Kansas Vin Inspection. They want to check it over and make sure everything's good to go before we get a title. So I got all the lights working in case they want to look at it. I probably won't use those lights, but they do work, and it does have lights. The tag light works. Mrs. Wizard wanted to steal my tailgate from me and make a park bench out of it. I told her that's not happening. This is part of the history of the truck.
I guess.
Simpson Horton in Oklahoma City. That's where it came from when new, back in 1962. And some of you guys commented in the last video that this was a dealer add-on, possibly, this huge bumper. I really like it. I'm not going to be taking it off. I'm going to leave it like it is. We'll take a look around here. It looks like someone's replaced the bed with a piece of plywood, and now that I've let it air out, it's actually very solid. I've walked on it. I'll probably just leave it as is and paint it with truck bed coating or something. I don't need to replace it. As you can see, there's the wiper arms. We tried to put some blades on them and the whole arms just collapsed. They're so old, so I'll get new arms. There's the seat stands and the old cover that was on the seat. Walk around here. It's got good patina. A lot of you guys have commented that I should leave it as is. I'm just kind of torn on that. I'm not sure if I want to sand it and paint it. Just some basic oil-based paint, or leave it as is, I don't know. But there's only got a couple of rust spots. It's just like that on the other side, the same rust area. The nice thing is you can get parts off of a C10. It's the same cab, same body. I might just repair it and leave it as is, who knows. But let's get it on the lift. I really haven't looked on the bottom that much. It's probably grody and rusty, but let's take a look. I wonder how many years it's been since this thing's been on a lift and been serviced. Probably decades. Well, let's start from the front and work our way back. The first thing I'm checking is the radiator, and it looks a little crusty. I don't know if I want to reuse or get it record and rebuilt, or you can see there's corrosion along the bottom where it may have leaked. It's not leaking now, it's full of antifreeze. We've let it get up to operating temperature and doesn't leak. Here, right here, you can see why I chose this old of a truck for the Rolls Royce candidate. A front mount. The Rolls Royce has an identical 2-bolt mount right there. Steering has drum brakes all around. And as you see this long rod right here, there is no coil springs. There is no leaf springs. This is torsion bar springs on these up front. I'm not sure if that's specific to the C30 or if they did it in the half tons, but I know that this one has it. Pretty cool. Check this side. It's amazing the steering still tight on it. I don't really see any leaks anywhere. It's amazing as well as it runs for sitting so long, and it's not even leaking. It's just crazy. And there's the old 4-speed granny gear transmission. Has a parking brake on a drum on the back of it. Speedometer cable. There's some kind of trailer wiring or something someone has done over the years. That's the thing with these old cars, guys, is you find stuff like this. What did that go to, or what did they do with that? Who knows? I'll just take it all off and throw it out. A big long drive shaft. As you can see, there's the wood planks. They're still present and intact. They're not rotten. It's amazing. There's these bars here. This vehicle, when it was new, did not have shocks on it from the factory, and I think they tried to install shocks. There's one on the back here. It's kind of a homemade deal, it looks like. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to keep this axle. This is called the HO72 axle. I've already researched it and looked it up, and it very likely could have like 456 gears or even over 5. It may be a screaming on the highway. I'll have to see what I do with it, but you can see the pinion seal is leaking. It's been leaking for a while. I may just get me a 14 bolt rear end and put just bolt. It bolts up. It just have a better gear ratio. There's some trailer wiring that someone has done in the past. I guess it works. Here's where the spare tire would have been. Right around in here. As you can see, it still has the stickers on the tires. They're brand new tires. I'll be keeping those. Here's where the exhaust used to be, but they just kind of got a glass pack pointing down. But it should have gone all the way back to here and out the back. I'll probably put that like it should be. I may run dual exhaust on it. Look at this beefy bumper. You don't want to hit your head on that, guys. It's not going to move. Your skull is going to move. Heavy, heavy truck. Big, heavy, beefy leaf springs. This whole truck is beefy. Well, for as old as it is, I'm actually impressed. There's no leaks. There's nothing really broken other than that shock. And that's kind of a homemade job anyway. But I guess there's not much to break on these. I'll go ahead and lower it down and we'll finish talking about it. So I thought before we tear this thing up, you guys would like to see it in all its glory. I guess we're not going to tear it up, but we're going to tear the old engine and stuff out of it and do some updates, update the brakes, make it something I could use on a regular basis. This is not a car that I'm just going to dump somewhere. I'm going to keep it. It's really cool. Like I said in the previous video, when I saw the ad and I saw the pictures of it, I just knew that's the one. That's the one that's going to get the Rolls Royce engine. The Rolls Royce is going to be similar to this engine as far as it's going to be smooth. It's not going to be one of these raucous, loud engines. It's going to pull like a steam engine, just smooth and forward, and 400 pounds of torque. Lots of power. That's what I'm looking forward to. I was real amazed when we got this thing started up. We got fuel to it and it just fired right up and it idled perfect. It's amazing to me. Today's cars I don't think that's going to be happening with today's cars. Anyways, if there's any tools or you want to know what kind of tools I use, check my Amazon affiliates. Head on over to Auto Trader Oversteer. I'm writing articles and doing small video clips there. You don't want to miss out on that wizard action over there. And if you haven't clicked the subscribe button, you might as well do that now, because this is going to be a really cool video series of making this thing a Rolls Royce tow truck for me. It's going to be back on the road. So many more cool videos to come. Thanks for watching.